I'm beginning to get a sense here of where some of the influences for Giffords have come from, and obviously that time at Santos and Roncalli were hugely influential on you. When did you leave Roncalli, and how soon after that did you and Totti then think, right, it's our turn now?
Yeah, so basically I left there in 1998, and Totti and I came back to England. We went to work up in Scotland because Totti's a landscape architect, like landscaper. So he does sort of clearing, sensitive clearing of arboretums and digging lakes and restoring farmyards. He's very good on kind of agricultural architecture. And we went to work up on a big arboretum up in Scotland, clearing and so on. And that was when I finished the book, and that was when I sort of felt like, are we really going to do this thing? Because we'd talked about it in Germany. So, so many times we'd said, well, we could do this, and we'd imagined who would like to see Roncalli. Like, would your mum like to see this? And would so-and-so like to see this? And I wanted everyone that I knew who I thought would like it to see it, but we realised that we had to kind of do it ourselves at home. I mean, they weren't going to come over to Germany necessarily, and maybe it wouldn't necessarily have pressed the buttons for them anyway. So in 1999, we got so that was when the book was published, and I got an invitation to speak at Hay Festival. And the director of the festival, Peter Florence, he said, is anything kind of visual that you can bring along with you for your talk? So we pitched the idea of our circus to the festival, to Hay Festival, and it didn't actually exist at that point. So we sort of said it's going to be a white tent, and there's going to be motorbikes and ponies and wagons, because that was one of the things we learned from Roncalli, it's like the exterior, so that thing of kind of making the set, like the wagons and but the world of the circus should start from your first glimpse of the tent. Walking up to the tent, buying the ticket, should all be part of that world. So we described it to him, and he was sort of like, okay, and can I book it? So he booked it, and so then we had a deadline. So it was like May 2000. We had to take our show to Hay Festival, and working with friends and cousins and people, sort of anyone kind of crazy enough in a way to throw their lot in with us, we slowly started to build the circus. So we bought a white tent from a newspaper, and then we started making wagons. That was that was the task in hand. And we poured a huge amount of time and everything that we sold our car. We had to move out of our cottage because we couldn't pay the rent. Totti was putting all of his turnover, so he's got his machinery, his JCBs and so on, and they were working away on landscape, but every bit of the turnover was going into the bottomless pit of setting up a circus. So it was a really unstable, difficult time for a few years, and huge bills and bailiffs and a lot of
I mean, was there a business plan, or was this just sheer belief that this is what you wanted to do and you needed to do?
I think, to be fair, it was sheer belief. I mean, that we did write business plans, and we did seek help from theatre practitioners, like the director of the Everyman Theatre in Cheltenham was really helpful, came and talked to us about contracts and equal opportunities policies and sort of arts fundraising and so on.
Yeah.
But I mean, really, we dragged it kind of kicking and screaming into existence, and
you made it in time for the Hay Festival. That's the main thing.
Yes, yeah, yeah. As we sort of said, like the wagons were half built, but we put together a good programme of acts. But we set off. Totti, he just like hooked up. He had an old dumper truck, and he kind of hooked it up to the wagons and dragged the wagon off down the road because it didn't have wheels, because we couldn't afford the wheels. And like the farm workers were just kind of standing, like just shaking their heads in disbelief that we could be so mad as to be following it through. And it. But yeah, we did make it to Hay. We did make it to Hay, and we did our show there, and people really loved it. So it was good.
And that must have been a fantastic reward for all that hard work, when actually the reviews came in, as it were, and people did say, yeah, this is brilliant.
It was. I mean, it was sort of terrifying, because we've got to keep doing this now, because it sort of does work. Yeah. And I mean, I think Totti is doggedly determined, and and patient. I'm not as patient as he is, and I really think if he hadn't dug in at that stage, I'm not. We couldn't have done it without each other, and it did seem insurmountable. The debt that we were, the amount of debt that we had, and our realization of how much we had to learn, and in a way, everything I'd learned at Santa Circus seemed to go completely out the window. I mean, I knew how to move a circus, kind of the stages, pull down, but I completely forgot how you move a circus. And you do it, you're racing time, and even in the old days, circuses would actually be physically racing each other into grounds, and it's not like that anymore. You have your ground booked, and that's how it is. But you still kind of race. You race as soon as the show comes down. You rip the tent down, everything, and you start. All the wheels are in motion from literally from the end of the last show at a ground. But in that first year, I forgot that, and we were slow off the mark, and we sort of split the team up into. We made strange sort of errors, which looking back at it, but it took a few years to get it stable.